This podcast is part of the Deluxe Edition Network. To find other great shows on the network, head over to deluxeeditionnetwork.com. That's deluxeeditionnetwork.com.
Hello, this is Igoro, host of the Igoro Show, and you are listening to the Steve and Crypto Show. So keep your ears open and your mouth shut.
Hey, welcome to the Steve and Crypto Show, presented by thestevestrout.com. I'm Steve.
I'm Crypto Zoo. What's happening, folks? You have made it to episode 141, and as always, we appreciate you guys listening and tuning in. We hope you're spreading the word. If you have friends that are into spooky pop culture shows, we hope that you're letting them know about this one. So, one way that you can spread the word is by wearing our logo on a hoodie. And you know where you can get that is over at Etsy.com. So go to Etsy/shop/Steve and Crypto merch, and you're going to find a brand new hoodie over there. We still have 2 different t-shirt designs. There's a magnet for your fridge. There's a coffee mug. We have some brand new coasters. So if you're tired of your friends coming over and leaving rings on your table, they should know better.
Sons of bitches.
Yeah, they should know better. But if they don't, you hand them one of those Steve and Crypto Show coasters and tell them to have some manners.
Be like, you put your Steve and Crypto mug full of Expedition Roasters coffee on that goddamn coaster, or get out of my house.
Yeah, that's
get
right.
Out.
Yeah, get out.
Get on out of here.
Yeah.
Get on out.
So, as I just said, go on to Etsy, get you them damn coasters, give them to your friends that don't have manners, and go get a hoodie so you can stay warm.
Don't say that. They're going to give them to us. Like, you motherfuckers don't have manners. It's a coaster. But, I mean, if they paid for it, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, at least we know they bought them.
Yeah.
And there's plenty of goodies over there waiting for you. So go to Etsy, check out everything we have to offer. Of course, you can go to Patreon if you're looking for some more content from the show. We just put up a brand new audio piece last night, and then this morning I added a bunch of video content from the Twisted Green Book tour that just happened a couple weeks ago. I went to the show in Seattle on St. Patty's Day, and so there's about 20 videos uploaded. Go check. Well, maybe not quite that many. There's a handful. There's a handful. But go check them out.
There's a few free ones, so if you want to go look and then maybe be inspired to join our Patreon for as little as $1 a month.
That's right.
But yeah, you mentioned that audio. The audio, we kind of spoiled and shared our opinion. Not shit our opinion. Shared our opinion. We kind of did.
Shared our shit opinion?
We did kind of shit out an opinion, but
yeah,
we shared our opinion on the new Ghostbusters movie.
Yep.
And if you want to know if we liked it, just go over, join our Patreon. It's like $1 or $5 or $100.
Yeah.
And and go watch some videos.
Whatever you feel like contributing, there's new content waiting for you. Go check it out. And if you want to contribute to the show in other ways, like helping to get us to conventions like Crypticon coming up next month, we'll talk about that in a little bit. Helping with merchandise and new audio gear and just keeping the show running, you can buy us a coffee, metaphorically. Go to buymeacoffee.com/SteveCrypto, and all contributions go towards helping out the show in many, many ways.
So many ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're on social media, too.
Of course we are. Yep. You can find us on Instagram, and I'm getting all tongue-tied here.
The other one.
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram and Facebook and Twitter or X, whatever the hell you want to call it. It's still Twitter to me, at CryptoZoo88, at the Steve Strout. Steve is also on TikTok, so you can find him over there too. hanging out with the young kids on the TikToks.
Those whippersnappers.
Yeah.
Those young whippersnappers. Little bastards.
And, of course, we have a Facebook group for the podcast. We encourage you to join and just be a part of the festivities. So go check it out.
And speaking of Facebook groups and pages, we mentioned at the top of the show, well, we didn't mention, we play that little audio at the top of the show that we are part of the Deluxe Edition Network, a collection of over 20 podcasts, independent podcasts. We're all there promoting each other, and there is a Facebook page for the Deluxe Edition Network, which you should follow and keep up on all the other shows. But every month, the Deluxe Edition Network has a couple podcasts in a month. And this month is such a exciting, huge month that there's 3 podcasts in a month. So Quad Pro Quo, who is a show that has been topping the charts with us over on Good Pods, and they're a good show. I listened to a couple episodes, and they're pretty good. I dig them. And Drink O'Clock, who I haven't heard yet, but sound like they got some good stuff going on. And this other show called Us, called the Steve and Crypto Show. We're the podcast of the month as well. You know all about us. It's all at deluxeeditionnetwork.com. You can get the info on all these shows, their social media, where you can listen to them, all that shit. Not shit, all that stuff. Last episode, we talked about getting ready for Squatchcon, which we were guests at. And we want to take a few minutes this episode to tell you about it real quick. So, Squatchcon happened, what date was it? The weekend of your birthday. The weekend of CryptoZoo's birthday was Squatchcon,
That's
which was the 20-something through the 20-something or other in Port Angeles, Washington. And it was a nice little mini pop culture con. I feel like they had, probably 400 or 500 people came throughout the weekend, which is pretty good for our area.
People traveled from Spokane.
Yeah.
They traveled from, I think one couple said Idaho.
Really?
Yeah.
I know those people from Spokane with the kid that dressed like Chucky.
Yeah.
Those people were cool as hell.
Yeah. Shout out to Orion's family.
Yeah.
You guys were cool.
Hopefully they're listening. I feel like they are.
Yeah.
I feel like they liked us. They really liked us.
Hello. Is it us you're listening to?
But yeah, their kid had a really cool Chucky costume on.
Yeah.
So like we had prizes that we were gonna give away, and we're like, nope, you get the prize because you're wearing fucking Chucky.
And they had the right answer to the trivia.
And they did.
Of
know
course,
the trivia.
Chucky had the right answer.
So they earned it. They did earn it. They didn't just get it by default because they had the best costume. There was some pretty good costumes there, though.
Yeah. Oh my God, there were a couple different like Mandalorian variations there. There were like 2 different Loki-Lorian type characters. Yeah.
There's some good stuff. They had like, remember that girl that was like a big mushroom, like with a big crazy intricate dress that
it was cool.
she made.
Yeah, great costumes.
Yeah, a lot of good costumes. A lot of good artists. We were so busy talking with people. Everybody was so cool and like wanted to talk to us and ask us about the show and everything. And we wanted to interview more people, but we only had time to get one in with a comic creator, and he's also a filmmaker and an author too. His name is Ken Carlson. He has a really, really good horror themed comic called Hellbound Slant 6, which we're going to talk with him, and he'll tell us about the book here in a few minutes. But I want to shout out a couple other artists that were there real quick. First of all, this one's not an artist. I guess he's a photographer. He was a really nice guy. He goes by Clumsy Bob. He's a photographer in the area, and he shoots at conventions and stuff. And he was there talking about like shooting old graveyards and everything, which is really cool, interesting. He's an interesting dude to talk to. He talked for a while. He liked to talk. Like there was a point when it was like sometimes like even the conversation is great, but you got to do other stuff, and it's like okay, and you try to separate from a conversation. It was hard, but no, he was cool though. I definitely want to talk with him some more, and you know, and just sit down and chat and look at more of his work. But it's pretty good stuff. He shoots a lot of cosplayers, and like I said, old graveyards and like roadside things and stuff. He was cool. There was a few people that were grouped together that kind of had some cool, spooky kind of art. One was named Allison Poppy, and the other was Kelly Ockler. One was the one that had the trick or treat sweater.
Oh, okay.
Remember? Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, I feel bad. I don't remember which one was which. But I'll try, if I have room, I will post like their social media links in the show notes, of course. We had DJ Moda, a.k.a. Eric Reynolds. He has a character he created. It's like this steampunk robot. And I guess it's a web series or something. I need to look more into it. But it's called Boom Rattle Boom. And it's a pretty cool looking character. Like, check it out. It looks pretty cool. He was coming around talking about doing a online like convention thing, like a streaming con, which was cool, and he wants us to be part of it. But he gave me they run a publishing company too, a small company, and he left me this book called Saturday, and it's a really cool, beautifully illustrated and written by Noah Crosey. I don't know how to pronounce it. Sorry, Noah. You're probably not listening anyways.
Oh, the art is beautiful. Post some pictures later.
Yeah, I'll put some stuff up. I'll share it and
post them in the group.
It might take me a little while to get it up, but I will. But yeah, this couple was like cool as fuck. They like they just live between here and Idaho and like in an RV. I think that's who you were thinking of. The couple from Idaho.
Oh yeah.
And they live in an RV and do this stuff and go to conventions and promote these things, and like they left me that wonderful book. It's really nice, really well made book. I definitely want to look more into it. One more artist I want to mention was Molly Hensley. She had this really cute little book called Gossip Crows, and it's basically the tagline is curious about the inner lives of crows. And like I was wandering around and I picked it up and I flipped right to the middle of the book, and there was crows talking to each other, and one said, "Let's shit on him." So I was sold.
Yeah.
So they're talking about shitting on people.
Yeah.
And that just sold
That's
me
enough.
like instantly. And I was like sold. And then I looked at her and it's cool, and her art was cool, and she was super cool, and it was like her first convention. So like she had her table set up really nice and like like I would like good job, you know, if she's listening. Hopefully she listens. Molly, great job. Congrats on your first convention.
Yeah.
And your setup was nice, and keep at it. And hopefully we see you at another convention at some point in the near future. So what was probably your highlight? What was your favorite part of Squatchcon this year?
The interactions that we had with people, top of the list for sure. Like just people that were coming by that were interacting and
very interested.
There were kids that came by that, like, I had a girl ask, you know, so what is this exactly? And I said, oh, it's a horror podcast. She was like, oh, I love podcasts. And I was like, oh, we need to talk to more people like you. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there were a handful of people that I met that day that were that enthusiastic and just into horror or podcasts or both. And that kind of just made my day, because we don't get that as much around here. Slowly catching on.
A little bit.
We're getting it a a little bit around here, a little bit more lately, which is really nice.
Yeah, finally. It's only taken 4 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only taken 4 years to be noticed. How about that? At least here. But we're noticed.
My footwork with the flyers is working, I think.
We're noticed abroad, though. Like,
yeah.
We're noticed everywhere else, but not as much in our town. Because obviously we're noticed because we were nominated for the third year in a row for
the Rondo
Awards, which is like the Oscars for horror.
You guys have until the 16th of this month to get your votes in. Go to rondoaward.com
to get all the scoop, how to do it, and check out all the categories. Don't vote just for us. Well, vote just for us in the best podcast category, but check out all the other categories. Vote for some of the other stuff if you know about it. If not, find something new to support.
Yeah, lots of cool categories.
Find a new book. Find a new artist. Find something cool.
Yeah, if you're open-minded, you'll find something new there.
Horror hosts. Go find a horror host. Support horror hosts. Horror hosts are awesome. And part of the reason I wanted to start a podcast anyways. So, but yeah, Squatchcon, I agree. The interaction was the best part.
Yep.
Which was really cool for a convention like this because, you go to bigger cons, you don't have time to interact. You know what I mean? It's just like, move along, here's your shit, go away. Yeah. And having the time to interact plays, like I've mentioned it before, if I talk to an artist, I'm walking by, I see something that looks cool, I'll stop and talk for a minute. And if they're like super cool, I'm going to be more inclined to support them and buy something from them rather than, fucking the big fucking Rob Liefeld or something. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I'm going to buy something from this cool guy that nobody knows that really appreciates me rather than this rich guy that... But there aren't that many artists that are really rich, so... But it's all just about supporting. But yeah, Squatchcon, next year, I think they're doing it in April. We'll put up the exact dates once we know. But if they invite us again, there's a pretty good chance we'll say yes. Yeah. Even if we're, like, huge by then and we're, like, got, like, fucking that Joe Rogan money coming in and we're celebrities, we'll still accept Squatchcon's invite. That's how highly we think of that show.
They know we'll still show up for a couple Taco Time vouchers. So yeah, they know we're good for that.
Yep. But it was... Maybe next year we'll do a couple days. It's kind of hard to squeeze in because you had your birthday and I had stuff going on that weekend, so we were only able to do it one day. But Squatchcon, it happens every spring in Port Angeles, Washington. It's worth a trip. I mean, like you said, there's people that made the trip, and I recommend doing it. Yep. So I mentioned that we had time to do one interview, unfortunately. I would have loved to have done more. But we talked with Ken Carlson. He's a comic creator, author, filmmaker. He does all kinds of stuff. But he popped in to tell us about a couple projects, particularly his Hellbound Slant 6 comic, because it's horror, and that's our favorite here. We like the horror. So let's run that little chat with him. And don't mind the background noise. It was just busy and good time. And
we were just getting squatchy.
I know. We were like just sitting down to start the interview. And then like people started coming up to the table. And
I sat down to do the whole thing with you guys. And I had to jump up and attend to curious people walking by.
Attend to the millions and millions of the Steven Crypto fans.
Right when the interview started, there was a kid that walked up, but he kind of looked like he was just on his phone and just happened to be standing by our booth. And so I was all hesitant. I was like, hey, do you...
get away from there,
I was like,
kids.
You like horror? Or like,
get
you
off
in a
my
podcast? Lawn. And he was like... Because I was thinking, he's probably just doing something else, and he just happens to be standing here. And he was like, oh, yeah, I was actually just adding your guys' show to my list right now. I'm like, oh, all right. Well, thank you.
Cool. Well, let's
anyway, run it.
Let's run the chat with Ken.
Hey, everybody. This is Derek from Monster Kid Radio, and you are listening to the best podcast not called Monster Kid Radio, Steven Crypto.
Hey, what is happening? We're at Squatchcon in Port Angeles, Washington, or Washington, depends where you're from. We have a comic book creator. I stumbled across him on social media a little while back, and I saw a horror-themed comic, and I saw that he was going to be here at Squatchcon with us. So I had to make it a point to chat with him and hear about this book. It's called Hellbound Slant 6. We have Ken Carlson. He's an artist from our region, artist and writer, and he's going to tell us about the book. So let's just jump right in.
Hey guys, how's it going? I think if you're from Port Angeles, I think it's actually pronounced Washington.
Washington. Okay.
But actually, I don't know. My dad's from San Diego, and he says Washington, so who knows?
Did you say Oregon too?
I change the way I say Oregon depending on who I'm talking to.
Like if it makes people mad, you say Oregon.
Exactly.
Right?
If they're from Oregon, I say Oregon.
The Oregonians, they get pissed off.
Exactly. Our dirty neighbors to the south. So Hellbound Slant 6 is a horror comic. It's a pulp horror comic. It is essentially the story of Danielle. She is a roadie for a traveling heavy metal concert tour. I originally wrote this back in the 90s, and then it was Ozfest, but that's changed. I completed this. Essentially, what initiated this was the pandemic lockdown, because I was getting ready to... I had a proof of concept film that I was raising funds for to shoot that summer, but 2020 kind of changed things. So I revisited this comic. Danielle gets a phone call on the first page of the first issue. Her mother is dying, so she leaves her job to go be with her mother at the end, behind the wheel of her 1971 Panther Pink Dodge Demon. While en route to be with her mother, to be at her mother's side at the end, she gets transported into hell and gets caught up in the middle of a civil war. And the only way Satan is going to let her go home is if she helps him reclaim the throne of hell. This is due to an artifact that she has in her possession. It's like a Paleolithic stone hand axe. And it deals with themes of forgiveness. There's lots of demons. And it's pretty fun. It's pulpy, so there's a lot of violence. She drives over a lot of demons in her car. A demon.
So here on Steven Crypto Show, we like violence and horror, and demons are okay too. Demons are all right.
It's got a lot of violence against demons.
So how many issues is this series run?
It's a 5-issue limited series, and all 5 issues are complete. I have single issues remaining, although I'm almost out of issue 1 at this point, but I do have trade paperbacks, and I had a hardcover omnibus, but that sold out as well.
Okay, so a lot of people listening may not see you at a convention here in the area. Do you get out of the area for shows?
Probably Portland is probably the furthest away that I do, and I'm going to be at Lilac City Comic Con in Spokane as well. But you can always go to my website, which is kenzofkc.com, and shoot me an email, and I can send you a copy in the snail mail.
Awesome. So do you have anything else on your table over there that's might be of interest?
Yeah, I mean, I have some original art over there and some prints. A lot of it is horror themed, especially the Inktober art that I do. I also am a filmmaker. I've made a few horror films, and I've produced comedy TV shows and movies. I used to have DVDs of some of that stuff available, but that's all sold out, and I haven't restocked any of it. But hopefully here in the next year or so, I'm going to get back into shooting another movie.
Is any of the films streamable anywhere?
Yeah, a couple of them are. I think if you go to kenzofkc.com and click the filmmaking tab, you'll be able to see what's available online.
So you mentioned you want to get back into film soon. Do you have anything else in the works? Any new comics or anything?
I have a comic that I am kind of in limbo on producing, but part of that is because I'm in the middle of finishing a fantasy novel at this point as well.
Okay, so you just dipping in everything.
I like to do lots of different things. Yeah, so I got a 128,000 word dark fantasy novel that is in his second round of beta reads right now. So I'm hoping to get that out before the end of the year.
Tell a little bit about that.
I'm sorry.
Can you share a little bit about the fantasy novel?
Absolutely, I sure can. Sorry, I was having a little difficulty.
PA stuff.
Yeah, a lot of things going on all at once. So it's the story of, I have a blurb written for it, but I don't remember it. But it's essentially the tale of two different characters, and it is a kind of metaphorical look at the vibrance and fire of youth against the decay of aging and death. And so one of the characters knows that he can save the world if he dies in a certain battle. He's been given this prophecy. And then when he finally comes to face that battle, he runs away. And that kind of sets in motion a bunch of other events. And wow, I'm really bombing at explaining this concept. I don't think I've explained this one out loud to people a lot. You must not have
read it yet. It's cool.
Yeah,
I get it. No, it's all good. It's all good.
I need to polish my spiel for this.
It sounds interesting enough to me. So.
I can rattle off stuff about Hellbound Slant 6 all day.
How did this? If you can rattle stuff off about Hellbound Slant 6.
So I first came up with the idea for this back in the 90s. Back in the 90s, man. I was just a kid. I was 19. I drew the first issue. I used thumbnail sketches to write and conceptualize the second and the third issues, but it was kind of directionless. I didn't exactly know where I wanted it to go or where I wanted it to end. And then I just kind of camped on it for 20 some odd years, and it kind of fell by the wayside of priorities in my life. And the kind of the lockdown of 2020, where there wasn't a lot of social stuff happening, like filmmaking, gave me some time to really just dive into finally making this comic book. And the Slant 6 is an engine. And right. If you have ever owned like a Dodge or a Chrysler or a Plymouth 60s or 70s car, a lot of them had Slant 6 engines in it. And the legend behind these things is that they were considered indestructible. And my first car was a Slant 6 car, and what I heard from my aunt, who I bought it from, was that this car, you could drive it to hell and back. And that kind of gave me the idea for this comic. And then over time, it evolved. I think the car was originally a Duster in the original incarnation, but recently I was like, well, Dodge also made a car that looked identical to the Plymouth Duster called a Dodge Demon. And I was like, why would I not make it a Dodge Demon? That's thematically the perfect car for this story.
Perfect. Yeah.
And yeah, that's kind of essentially it in a nutshell. But throughout a generation of 20 years, I learned a lot about storytelling, about life, and that stuff made its way into the comic. There were life lessons that 19-year-old me didn't know and couldn't have put in this comic.
So it kind of had to marinate for a few years.
It absolutely did.
To be right. Yeah.
It, not only did it have to marinate, but I had to marinate to get to the point where I could tell the story.
For sure. So as a filmmaker, is there ever crossed your mind to make this into a film?
Yeah, I had for a while I had kind of toyed around with the concept of making this into like a limited animation motion comic, but that's a ridiculous amount of work. And after doing a few experimental test animations, I was like, nah. I also toyed with the idea of making it into a film, but I think because of the nature of the fact that, you know, one of the main characters is a very expensive car that is hard to find, and then there's a lot of demons, so there'd be a lot of special effects. It would be really expensive to make, and I don't know that I would be able to raise the financing to do it justice at this point. So not really on my radar to make a movie out of it right now.
So what if somebody else approached you to do it?
I would certainly entertain it.
Yeah, for sure. Sounds like it would make for a fun, very, I'm thinking, I don't know why my brain keeps thinking like Tarantino.
Like what?
My brain keeps thinking like Tarantino making
Oh, yeah,
this
no,
movie.
totally. I think it would have to be like super ultra violent.
Yeah.
Just like bloody everywhere. And it's the hot rod, so I think that's the Tarantino connection is with the car and the blood and the guts.
That's what I think it is. The car and the blood and the babe and,
Yeah, it's absolutely kind of an homage to the Grindhouse movies. Yeah.
For sure. Well, we'll let you get back to your table here soon. Looks like you have a line forming.
Uh-oh.
Could we run through real quick where people can find you on social media to follow
absolutely.
what you're doing?
So KenzoFKC.com, my website, is really the best place to get in touch with me. I'm on Instagram at KenzoFKC. I'm on Facebook, Kenzo Draws. And I think that's about it for social stuff.
All right. Ken Carlson, thanks for popping by, man.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Hey, this is Dr. Gangrene. You're watching the Steve. No, you're not. You're listening to the Steve and Crypto Show right here on whatever network you're on. I don't know what you're on. Don't ask me. I can't see what you're doing, but keep listening and tune in next week for more cool content on the Steve and Crypto Show.
Okay, we are back. Thank you to Ken Carlson for chatting with us at Squatchcon. That was a cool chat. Sorry we had to send you away, but you had a line forming at your table. So
yeah, we had to let you go make that money.
I'm going to keep up on what that guy's doing. The comic's pretty cool. So yeah, that was kind of Squatchcon. It was a good time. Let's do it again. We have more convention coming soon, which we want to kind of talk about very briefly. We're going to have to cut this one a little short this week because we have some things we're working on. So our next convention, Crypticon. We're not officially guests there, but we're pretty cool and people love us there. So we like to hype up that show because it is our local horror convention.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna be there. It's gonna be an awesome show this year. We actually have a date set up with one of the special guests, the celebrity guests at the show, which of course we don't like to say until we got it recorded. But this weekend we're supposed to talk to somebody that's pretty cool. Somebody I'm excited to talk to.
I can give you the hint that this person is from one of my favorite movies.
It's from one of his favorite movies, yeah.
Tell you that.
And he's been to Crypticon before too.
Not
really
since
nice
I've been
guy.
going.
Not since you've been going, no.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a ton of awesome guests. Bonnie Aarons from The Nun, and like was one of the Conjuring 2, I think, when they introduced The Nun.
Mm-hmm.
Billy Zane, who's Tales from the Crypt, Demon Knight, and like a million other goddamn movies.
They just announced Zach Galligan not long ago.
Zach Galligan's going to be there from Gremlins 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And speaking of Gremlins 1 and 2, fucking the legendary director Joe Dante, who did Gremlins 1 and 2
right.
and Piranha and The Howling, he's going to be there. So I'm really excited to meet him. Quinn Lord, who is Sam from Trick or Treat, Ken Forey from Dawn of the Dead, and From Beyond, also from Beyond. That's going to be there. Jeffrey Combs and Barbara Crampton, who are both, if you're a horror fan, horror legends. Yeah, so like Crypticon, Seattle, the first weekend of May, a lot of awesome guests. The whole thing is like a big party, just a good fucking time. It's a good show to check out. Go to CrypticonSeattle.com to get more details. And we definitely hope to see you there. If you're going, let us know, please. Please let us know, because we want to connect with you and hang out. I will be there all weekend. I'm going to set up my little mini podcast studio up in my room. So if you're cool and got something cool going on, let's connect and let's record some shit. And Crypto will be there Sunday. Yeah. So we'll both be there Sunday. So if you want our autographs and stuff, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. But yeah, we'll be there. One of us or both of us will be there all weekend. With that being said, we've got to remind you, April 16th is the deadline to vote for us for the Rondo Awards. Please vote. Best podcast, Stephen Crypto's show. And then check out the other categories and decide if you want to vote in them as well. The instructions are at rondoaward.com. And, of course, we're posting the link and everything all over freaking our social medias. Just tell them where our social medias are at.
You can find us again. You can find us once again. CryptoZoo88 and the Steve Stroud. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, X, whatever. We got a Facebook group. Go find it. Go find our merch at Etsy.com. Go find extra content at Patreon.com. Go support the show at BuyMeACoffee.com.
Definitely support at Patreon too. Patreon's the better way because you get more back.
That's right.
You get more in return. So go to Patreon. You mentioned the merch. You mentioned our social media. I'm going to remind you, we always say at the beginning, presented by TheSteveStrout.com. I've been keeping busy over there. I got more stuff coming. I'm going to be putting up reviews. And I'm going to twist CryptoZoo's arm into posting some shit in there. Maybe he'll review some old classics or some of his favorites. And let's keep content going out to you guys because, one, we love this shit. Two, we fucking love you guys and appreciate yous. And let's have fun. Let's have fun, be nerdy, enjoy fucking scary shit, and just have a good old time. And with that being said, I think it's time for us to cut it short and start prepping for our big secret interview this weekend with the celebrity from Crypticon. If somebody could guess and send me a message who they think the guest is going to be, before we announce it, of course. Maybe I'll send you like some stickers or something.
I mean, I could say for any locals that listen, I may or may not have a song in my hip hop set that I do that is related to one of the movies that this person may or may not be in.
You need to record some of that damn music.
Oh,
we
yeah.
can play it.
Yeah, that'd be great. I'm gonna get on that. That's definitely a goal.
Hey, now don't leave just yet. We're going to do a little throwback like we did a couple months ago with the John Brennan interview. We are going to go back to our chat with David Colton. He's the man behind the Rondo Hatton Classic Horror Awards. And we kind of want you guys to hear a little bit, in case you missed this episode, we want you to hear a little of the history of this awards and kind of see why it's important, to us, and why it means a lot to us that you guys vote, whether it be for us or other people. Hopefully us. If you listen to us, hopefully you are into us and want to vote for us in the best podcast category. But yeah, we're going to throw back and play this episode with Mr. Colton. There might be some dates mentioned for events that are kind of tied to it. This was from a little while back, maybe a year or two ago. So disregard those dates, but everything else is very important. It's all important information. Why he started this, how he started it, his process, everything. So check this out before you go. Enjoy it. And please definitely consider voting for the Steve Crypto Show for Best Podcast and the Rondo Awards. And thank you. And we'll be back in a few minutes. Hey, we're on the Steve Crypto Show with a very special guest. I'm excited to chat with a bit and actually meet. His name is David Colton. He was a journalist. I'm not sure if he's still doing that.
You're always a journalist.
Oh, yeah, there you go. He's a journalist, and he is the driving force behind the Rondo Hatton Classic Horror Awards, which is, to me, it's I feel like it's the Oscars of our little genre of monster movie lovers and weirdos. And I guess we're not the genre, but you guys listen to know what I'm saying. But David, thank you for coming on, and good to meet you finally.
Appreciate you having us.
I know you're busy right now. You're in the thick of things, getting probably thousands of ballots sent in and tallying up the votes. Before we get into the history of the awards, I'm just curious of your process in doing this. I know it's all through email. So do you just like tally it as you open the emails, or?
It's a little insane. Yeah, it's all through emails, and I record what everybody votes for, and I go through them into the night sometimes, and never reveal what anybody voted for, and never sell the list or anything like that. But we get thousands and thousands of votes. It's quite amazing.
Right. Well, that's good that you don't reveal it, because I don't need my co-host to see that I voted against us.
Now, is the vote tallying, is that all on you, or do you have anybody helping you out with that?
It's all on me. There are times when it gets overwhelming, and somebody will take a hand. But sometimes 200 votes come in a day. Sometimes 30 votes come in a day. So at the end, it gets quite insane.
Yeah,
it's just amazing. It kind of dumbfounds me just thinking about, I'll go through just regular emails and get 20, 30 a day, and it's overwhelming. I can't imagine having to open every email. Half of them are junk, so I just toss them, but I can't imagine having to open every one and go through that.
I try to automate it. I have a standard reply that I send, and sometimes I'll say something extra, but it can go pretty quickly once you get into the groove of it. Not everybody votes for everything. Thank God.
Thankfully, huh? Imagine that. How many categories is there this year?
There are 28 categories. There's got to be 400 or 500 listings. It's just,
wow.
A lot of it is, to honor people who weren't recognized in the past. There are people like Tim Lucas and Tom Weaver and Greg Mank who are doing as good journalism as anything out there, except it's about Bela Lugosi or Boris Karloff, and it never got recognized.
Right.
So I kind of took a journalistic approach, and a lot of the ballot is for best article, best interview, not best actor or best actress, or like there are some awards that have, best decapitation or best kill.
Right.
We don't do any of that.
Yeah.
It's about the coverage of.
Yeah, it becomes less of like a popularity thing, more an homage to the creators and their
right
skills. Yeah, which
right,
that's important. I think it means more than, like you say. Like, I mean, I love a good kill in a scary movie, but I
Right.
think it means more that this, like you say, a journalist is recognized for a great article he wrote.
Right. But they're still fun. We have best cover and best movie and best Blu-ray.
Yeah, the best cover is always one of my favorite ones every year. There's always some amazing artists out there. It's overwhelming
Yes.
sometimes. Yeah. But I'm glad I don't have to tally the votes.
Yeah, we thank you for doing so.
Well, what else am I doing?
With that being said, the Rondo Awards. Let's get a brief, quick history of how it started.
All right.
Yeah.
Let me ask my assistant here. Alexa, what are the Rondo Hatton Awards?
Here's something I found on the web. According to wikipedia.org, the Rondo Hatton Classic Horror Awards is an award presented annually by the Classic Horror Film Board to honor outstanding works in horror in film, television, home video, and publishing, voted on by the general public.
I don't even know how that got online, but I never think of horror fans as the general public, but
we're a little different breed.
Right. Way back in 2002, which used to be the future, we had, way back in the 90s, we had a discussion group on AOL, which was kind of before the internet exploded. If you were online, you were on a service. You were on AOL or CompuServe or one of those things. And there were, a bunch of people, a lot of writers, a lot of editors, and we were debating the old Dark House and, Lugosi's best and worst roles. And we decided, what if we had an award? And we kicked around a lot of names. It was kind of based on FanX, which had the Laemmle Awards after the founder of Universal Pictures. But somebody suggested Rondo Hatton. And Terry Gamble, who's a Superman and X-Men artist, was a member of the group. And he sketched what the award could look like. In the movie House of Horrors, there was a giant sculpt of Rondo Hatton's head. He was actually quite good-looking teenager. He was a journalist. He fought in World War I, but he suffered from acromegaly, elephant man disease. And the story was that there was mustard gas used by the Germans in World War I, but more research has shown that it's probably an existing condition. But his face distended. He didn't look like Elephant Man, but he obviously was fighting a severe face disfigurement. And Universal Pictures figured, oh, God, we have a monster here without makeup, the need for makeup, and put him in a few pictures. The Spider-Woman Strikes Back, I think a Sherlock Holmes movie, a few others. And then he was in House of Horrors, where the giant sculpt of his head became kind of a plot point. And Kerry sculpted a small version of it. And we said, wow, we should do this. So the first year there were 168 votes. And the next year there were 600 votes. And then there were 1,200, and it got to about 3,000 to 4,000. And kind of stabilized there. Last year we had 6,000 votes, which I don't think we'll reach this year, which was the record. But I think that was more that everybody was home and there was a pandemic and there was a lot of campaigning, like please vote for me and that kind of thing. So it was really exciting last year. This year, I think we'll fall back to 4,000, but who knows? We still have 2.5 weeks to go. But at the Classic Horror Film Board, which is a message board, we solicit nominations and suggestions, and we get a lot of people saying, this magazine or this article or this project. And we could have gone two ways. We could have set up a star chamber where we take all that stuff and 5 nominees in each category. But as you guys know, in the horror genre, I guess in all genres, the infighting can be really, take over what was supposed to be, a nice, recognition. And my head just started spinning over the battles over, who's a professional artist versus who's an amateur artist. What's the best book? Oh, that's old. Why are we nominating that? So I just took a kind of, if it exists, it gets nominated approach, which filled the ballot at the beginning. But as the years went on, we did have to get more selective. And some stuff just doesn't make it, even though it sounds like it should make it. Like, the reason your show makes it is because there's such quality and there's such regularity. It isn't like, you'll have a show and then 4.5 months later, hey, let's do another show. And that's one of the hallmarks of a good podcast, that you can rely that there's a new show coming. So even though the ballot is still insanely voluminous, we think everything there is good quality, and I share it with a few people and they say, hey, don't do that guy, whatever. But there must be 400 or more listings, and it can also be viewed as a great catalog. Just, wow, I didn't know there was a, collection of Christopher Lee's Euro movies or that kind of thing. So it's fun, it's frustrating, we have a ceremony at Wonderfest every year in June. And, some winners cry. There was a, forget his name, Ray, gosh. He sculpted the Aurora's Godzilla, the Aurora King Kong, the Aurora Bride of Frankenstein models. And when he came up to accept his Hall of Fame award, he just started crying. It was unbelievable. I mean, the man was 92 and people are standing applauding. And that's why I do it. It's just recognizing people who are not usually recognized. I mean, you guys know, what do you do? Well, we do a podcast. Oh, what's it about? Well, it's about horror movies. And as soon as you say that, half the people say, oh, that's nice, and back away.
Yeah, I try to throw in the pop culture thing, and then say, there's an emphasis on horror, but we cover pop culture.
So, when I was I'm retired now, but when I used to work at USA Today, and I said, where are you going? Oh, I'm going to a convention. Oh, what kind of convention? Well, it's a monster convention. And oh, okay. And off, they wander off.
Yeah, we know that one.
So it's been great. There have been controversies and stuff, but it's worked out fine. And we've given out hundreds of statues. And this year's is I think June 2nd in Louisville at Wonderfest. We'll have the ceremony, and hopefully more people will come than came last year, which was like pretty empty because of the COVID.
So you guys did end up having a ceremony last year.
Yeah, I look back on it. Like, did we really do that? Because, but it was late. It was later in the year than usual, and it did not become a spreader event as far as we could tell. I mean, there were a lot of masks and stuff, but
that's good. That's good. It would have been a bummer to miss the year. Yeah, I mean, the Rondo is grown into it really well recognized. I mean, it's gotten coverage in Entertainment Weekly, Hollywood Reporter, all the top horror websites,
Right.
Dread Central and all them. So that's, I mean, it obviously means something. So
yeah,
that's
you've
good.
definitely grown over these 20 years that you've been doing it. And I wanted to compliment you on even your very first year, 168 votes just in the first year seems pretty impressive too. Because I mean, we know how it is when you're trying to get your.
That's before social media.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So
yeah, at least now we're able to try to push things, on the web and whatnot. But like, that's very impressive for back then, for 2002.
Right. And, my daughter keeps saying, like, the ballot is insane. You either have to copy it, cut and paste it, or, write it out. And my daughter says, why don't you use, what is it, Survey Monkey, or,
one of those,
something where you just click it. But the ballot is so long, I think it would be frustrating in a different way that, you can only get so many on a page before you have to click to the next page. And
yeah.
And I kind of like this way because I get to interact with everybody, and it's fun. But I think the kind of 8-track tape era approach of the ballot, where you have to actually cut and paste it, keeps it from becoming like, even bigger. I also worry with digital voting that it can be manipulated pretty easily. A couple years ago, we got 3,000 votes from China, which is fine, but they were all for the same guy. And if you looked at the rhythm of the ballots, it was the name was in the same place, the thing was in the same place, thank you very much was in the same place. And we traced it to there's software you can buy for $5. You can get 500 emails from different people. For $50, you can get 5,000. And I guess that kind of software is like aimed at American Idol kind of things, or whatever it is, People's Choice. I don't know how those things work, but why you would purchase, false emails. So we discarded 3,000 votes, which, for the PR, it would have been great. We had 9,000 votes, but it just didn't seem right. And I contacted the guy, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know what happened. That certainly wasn't me." And I was like, "Okay."
Yeah, it's one of his fans, I guess. But I think having to go through, like I mentioned before, and actually read the ballot without just clicking and sending. You kind of forced to read it, and like I've been mentioning on the show a bunch, like it gives you a chance to find something new that you might not have known about, which is my favorite part of it. But my favorite part of the whole the Rondo Awards is looking at the ballot and finding all these. I love horror hosts, and every year like one or two will pop up that I didn't know about. So it's like, okay,
right.
Let's go down this rabbit hole and meet a new one. I think that's the fun part of it.
Yeah, well, it's great to hear that. Thank you.
I wanted to say that I'm sorry. I just wanted to throw in quickly. I really appreciate your interaction with everybody who votes, because I've already gotten feedback from people who have voted for us, or at least I hope they did. And they said, wow, you already got back to me, 10 minutes later after I sent the vote or whatever. So yeah, people seem to appreciate it.
Sometimes it backs up. One frustrating thing is like you'll say I've been nominated on Twitter, and everybody says congratulations, which is nice, but it's not a vote,
Right.
To just congratulate you on Facebook or Instagram isn't actually voting, but it's a step towards it. So who knows?
Yeah, we definitely get a lot of that. Like we'll be promoting just anything. For example, we've gotten a lot of congratulations, but it's like, okay, you listen and you enjoy the show, then just take a minute and vote, and then
right,
that's the end of it. Like, do you want me to work? Like, no, it's not work. You're learning. You're finding. I'm opening a door to you to find new stuff. And
like, are you afraid of finding new entertainment?
Yeah.
Right. I mean, you don't even have to look at the ballot. You can just email me and say, Stephen Crypto or whatever.
Yeah.
One controversial thing, if you have time, is one of the most prickly areas of the horror genre is the world of horror hosts, where there's a lot of competition and a lot of, frankly, backbiting, and it's sometimes. And Svengoolie has won like repeatedly, and he does have a national show on MeTV, and his fans love him. But lately it's been getting closer and closer because Shudder now has had Joe Bob and Elvira. It isn't like they're on UHF TV stations anymore. A lot of horror hosts have figured out that they can be on a YouTube channel or a Facebook channel. So it's getting more a closer race than just the guy who's on TV gets it. But
I've heard a lot of people complain about, they're just going to give it to Svengoolie again, but like they need to think of it like the Svengoolie is on national television, keeping this art alive and putting it in the forefront, opening the door for all these other people.
Right. You know and MeTV isn't that hard, isn't that easy to find, actually.
No, it's definitely not everywhere. Yeah.
No, I forgot what I was going to say. All right.
I do that all the time.
His fans surely are dedicated.
It's unbelievable.
So,
yeah. And it's deservedly so.
Yeah. I said to one guy, am I supposed to make the category best horror host except Svengoolie? I mean,
Right.
And really? Another horror host told me, if I ever win, I want to know that I beat the best, not that I won except Svengoolie. So we'll see what happens. But Mummy and Monkey is Transylvania Tonight. Count Gore has won. Dr. Gangrene has won. Penny Dreadful has won.
All deservedly so too. Some of the legends.
We've had a handful of the nominees this year on our show as well.
Yep.
I'm
actually working on getting Count Gore on pretty soon, so that's going to be fun.
He's great. I went to his house once. He lives in Maryland, and he comes to it's like a house, I ring the bell and he's all dressed, in his stuff. And we go down to the basement, and that whole crypt and everything is in his basement, the wall painted and, the crazy coffin with Vampirella inside. And his wife was filming the show, and, anybody can be on TV.
Yeah.
But he's been around for 40 years, I think.
40. I think he's pushing 50.
Yeah, maybe.
Mistaken, yeah. So I think Svengoolie just passed 40 a couple years ago. And I think Count Gore is on a few more years. I guess if you count his, years as Captain 20, and I think he did Bozo for a bit at first too.
Everybody was Bozo.
Yeah, there was like a Bozo in every market, just like the hosts. The good old day. I missed those days. I was just a little too young to have had a horror host growing up, like a lot of people, and I kind of envy everybody who didn't get to grow up with a host.
I grew up with Zachary. Yeah.
Speaking, the main one I grew up with, is Crypt Keeper. That was the main one I had, being a '90s kid.
Where was he?
The Crypt Keeper. That was the main one that I had. Just Tales from the Crypt.
Where was he physically?
Oh,
he was he a puppet?
yeah. So he was in like basically the basement.
The Tales from the Crypt series had their little mascot guy.
Okay.
He was kind of I guess he was a horror host of sorts for that era. There wasn't really much.
Right.
Yeah, and in the early '90s, that's really all that we had, as far as I know.
Right. It is amazing how much horror stuff is in Cleveland and Pittsburgh, and that whole swing there.
I always thought about that. Like we do get some listeners in that area.
In
Indiana, probably concentrated in that kind of, I guess that's the Midwest. I don't know, Michigan, Ohio. But here locally, it's kind of weird. Like me and him we both have roots in entertainment in our area,
but
we can't seem to grab our local audience.
I think a lot of them
weird.
just don't listen to podcasts, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because like you tell them that you have a podcast, and then you get that look like, oh, okay, you know. You can tell they're like, what's a podcast?
Yeah.
Tell them it's about a murder, you know.
Yeah, that's it. That's the thing. Everybody, you mentioned podcast, and they're like, "Oh, murder mystery." Like, no, we like to. I mean, that's cool. It's entertaining, but we like to have fun.
Yeah, and then you throw in my name, and they think they're like, "Oh, you guys talk about cryptocurrency?" No,
Bigfoot and stuff. I always say fake monsters, not fake money. Like,
yeah, right.
But yeah, so the Rondo Awards, where can people go and see the ballot without having to email you?
You go to rondoawardsingular.com, and the ballot will be right there.
And there's also really detailed instructions on how to vote.
Yeah, probably more detailed than they have to be, but you don't have to vote. You can vote for one category. You can vote for a few. You can vote for all of them. The people who vote for all of them, I kind of back away slowly from also. But, you know, we have write-ins, you know, Hall of Fame, the Monster Kid of the Year Award. You know, there's plenty of opportunity to make your feelings known about the genre. And it's really classic horror. I mean, you know, recent movies are listed and stuff, but you know, Friday the 13th and Halloween are classic to a lot of people, probably to most people actually, and that world gets included. But you know, the rougher gore films aren't represented as much as some people would like, but it's very much about storytelling and the cinema, horror cinema. We have some giallo, if I'm saying that right, and folk horror is a big deal lately. Not really sure what folk horror is.
Yeah,
It's an animal in the backyard.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Anyway, and then you just email me, Taraco, TARACO @AOL.com. I still use AOL because so many people know that that's the address. So I figured it would be chaotic to change it. Yeah. The votes are confidential. Your email is confidential. And it's a lot of fun. I get a lot of really nice comments in the emails, which really keep me going. It's fun. But it's also expensive, and my wife paints the statues. Right. Can't we switch to certificates, she says.
Those statues are pretty cool. That'd be kind of
yeah, they're about as cool as can be.
Now, do you do all this out of pocket? I've always wondered.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
But some people buy clothes or go out to dinner. Or,
sure. You buy trophies for creatives. I dig it.
I went to, at work, my boss was quite, you know, I said, that's a nice tie. He says, it was $80. I said, an $80 tie? Like, you know, I'd never heard of such a thing.
Right.
Which is probably cheap by today's standards. But, you know, and I thought, okay, if he can buy an $80 tie, I can, you know, buy 2 dozen plastic bases for the statues. But yeah, it is all out of pocket. It's an investment in happiness. I don't know.
If you're happy with that and it makes a lot of people happy, I think it's kind of a good payback, you know.
Thank you for you and your wife both putting time into it.
Yes,
I appreciate that. It's you know, some people have boats.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And you have your love of the genre, and that's good.
I don't know how much longer it'll last, but 20 years is no small
impressive.
Thing.
Very impressive.
Maybe I should NFTs of the book.
There you go. There you go. Well, hopefully we get 20 more years of it.
Yeah,
it'll be about that. But
well, somebody wants to take it over, and once they hear, well, you have to pay for it, and you have to go count the votes. You know.
Yeah.
Who knows? But
maybe. Hopefully, there's people out there, I think that appreciate it and love it enough that will keep it going
Well, I really appreciate you having me on and helping spread the word.
All right. Well, we thank you, David. Make sure you guys get out rondoaward.com. Even if you don't have time to vote, which we wish you would, at least look through all the categories and all the creators and find something new. That's the most important thing, I think. I mean, voting is important, but find something new and find something else to support or promote or love. Even if it's not Stephen Crypto Show, there's a bunch of other really good podcasts on there. There's books, magazines, articles, interviews, movies, everything you could ask for as a horror fan, Monster Kids. Just do it. RondoAward.com.
Yeah, if you're listening to this show, I guarantee you're probably going to find something on that list that you enjoy.
That says it best.
We thank you again, David. We'll let you get back to your day. I'm sure you got votes to start tabulating there. I'm sure
a few have come in while we're talking. Yeah.
The email box is filling up, so we'll let you get back to work. Thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for bringing us into the Rondo headquarters.
All right. Well, thank you guys. Really appreciate it.
Take care.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
Bye-bye.
Hey, this is Butch Patrick, and you're listening to the Stephen Crypto Show.
Shit, Steve, call me Alaska Airlines because I'm barely holding myself together.
Too soon with the Alaska Airlines, but I feel you.
You sure? Too soon?
A little bit.
You know what? That's fine. Fortunately, I got hooked up with these tropical THC gummies from Sunday Scaries. They're called couch potatoes.
Yeah, they're legal. Yeah, they're real. Yes, you definitely get high. And no, you shouldn't drive.
Couch potatoes come in 4 different flavors. Tropical flavors, that is. Mango, pineapple, orange, and blue raz. They're so tasty, they'll have your taste buds signing up for jury duty.
Couch potatoes are ideal for boosting your happiness and relaxation by entering a mild euphoric state.
And whether you had a shitty day of work, the kids are finally asleep, or you spent the weekend with the in-laws, just take one gummy and watch your stresses melt away.
You can get 20% off your order with the code SteveCrypto at SundayScaries.com. Afraid? Don't be. There's a 100% money back guarantee on all purchases, so there's no buying risk.
Check out SundayScaries.com and feel good.
Thank you guys for listening to the Stephen Crypto Show. Don't forget, vote in the Rondo Awards. Best podcast, Stephen Crypto Show. Got till April 16th, and we will see you guys on episode 142, probably with a new celebrity friend. Bye, guys.
All right. Catch you later. Peace.